Hello and welcome back to Koala Moon, a podcast of original children's bedtime stories and meditations designed to make bedtime a dream. Tonight we are heading out of Sleepy Forest and making our way across some fields to a nearby farm. And we're about to meet a farmer as he closes up and tucks in his tractors for the night. But little does the farmer know his tractors have a secret that only reveals itself once everybody's asleep. Let's head on down to the farm. This is The Sleepy Tractors by Alicia Ainsley. Here was the end of another peaceful day on Puddlefoot Farm. And Farmer Clyde was putting everything away before nightfall. He'd already checked on the animals and ensured they had everything they needed and were safely in their respective paddocks, pens and barns for the night ahead. He'd locked all of the gates and packed away all of the animals' toys. Now, there was just one thing left to do. Farmer Clyde stepped into the largest barn of them all to tuck in his most prized possessions for bed, his tractors. Without his tractors helping him throughout the day, Farmer Clyde wouldn't be able to complete his important farm duties. Each tractor had its own set of special responsibilities, and all were equally dear in his heart. The tractors were all lined up around the sides of the barn, parked in their respective spots, leaving a huge open space in the centre. As the darkness of night began to cover the farm and dim the light in the barn, a lone opening in the roof allowed a direct view of the sky. As the moon started to turn its face to the world, streams of silver moonlight began to flow through the opening and down into the barn, illuminating the centre like a stage. Little did Farmer Clyde know, this stage would soon be used to host a rather impressive show. As he always did, Farmer Clyde patted each giant machine on the front bonnet and wished them good night. "Good night, Rollaway," he whispered to his gleaming yellow tractor. "Good night, June," he said to the green tractor next. "Good night, Big Blue," he called up to the largest of them all, the blue tractor that enabled him to pull the heaviest machinery across the farm. "Good night, Dusty," he repeated to the combine harvester, before adding, "I hope you've had a nice day off. You'll be needed again tomorrow, bright and early." Then, finally, Farmer Clyde stroked the plough in the corner, whispering, "Good night, Rakey. Good job today." With his precious tractors and machines all safely tucked into bed, Farmer Clyde closed the barn door and returned to his house for a quiet evening in front of the fire. The moment the barn door was closed shut behind Farmer Clyde, something incredible happened. One by one, the tractors opened their eyes and came to life. Little did Farmer Clyde know, his tractors had minds of their own, and when he wasn't looking, they could move and talk. Each of the tractors rolled forward into the centre of the barn, illuminated by the moon's rays, and wished each other a good evening. Rollaway, the yellow tractor, June, the green tractor, Dusty, the combine harvester, Rakey the plough, and not forgetting Big Blue, all smiled at one another and yawned. What a day it had been! At the end of every day, the machinery liked to get together to discuss the day and share tales of the pleasant things they had done on the farm. Rollaway was a yellow tractor with a black bonnet, gathering him the name around the farm of the Bumblebee. He had 2 large wheels at the back and 2 smaller wheels at the front, with a powerful bucket-shaped loader attached to his front. Rollaway's main job on the farm was to collect and carry things that Farmer Clyde couldn't, from hay to dirt to sand. June was also a tractor, but her duties were different to Rollaway. She had 4 equally large wheels and often had other machinery attached to her back. She was especially strong, and so she was used around the farm to pull heavy loads in trailers and drag machinery like Rakey the plough around the field so they could do their jobs. But neither Rollaway nor June were as large as Big Blue. He had humongous wheels, taller than a person, and was bulkier and heavier than both other tractors combined. Big Blue had been Farmer Clyde's first tractor, and he still held a sweet spot for the old machine. Big Blue was getting a little slower on the hills nowadays, but he was still powerful. Farmer Clyde didn't have too many jobs big enough for Big Blue, but every now and then he still liked to take his beloved old faithful tractor out for a treat. "You wouldn't believe the sunrise I saw this morning," Big Blue boasted in his low, drawling voice. It seemed that tonight Big Blue would begin regaling the group with tales of the day, and he started with a lovely one. Farmer Clyde had picked up Big Blue from the barn that morning at the crack of dawn. Not even the farm cockerel, Jilly, had awoken yet. The farm was perfectly silent. Farmer Clyde had climbed up into the driver's seat and driven Big Blue out into the yard, through the open metal gates and into the field beyond. The sun was only just beginning to creep up beyond the rolling hills in the distance, and the sky was a picturesque blend of blue, yellow, and pink. "We're going to watch the sunrise, you and I," Farmer Clyde had informed the aging tractor as he chugged along the bumpy road. For many years, Farmer Clyde and Big Blue had started their days together, watching the sunrise on the horizon. It was the farmer's favourite time of day. They were some of the only spare moments when the farmland was still, and he had nothing he needed to do except relax and enjoy the show. Farmer Clyde parked Big Blue in the centre of the field, and together they patiently waited and watched the sun rear its head over the hill, gradually casting light across the land. The cockerel sang in the background right on cue, and Big Blue smiled as Farmer Clyde commented, "Now that's one good sunrise." Big Blue had to agree. The round sun blazed with a tangerine glow, and its outline was a haze of lilac purple. Big Blue's heart felt as warm as the sun in the sky as he watched it develop and grow until its whole circular shape could be seen over the tops of the hilly peaks. They sat together silently, watching the sun, until the sheep began bleating in the distance, and the farmyard behind them started to spring to life. Their momentary peace together was fleeting, but precious. The other machines listened intently to Big Blue's reminiscence of the morning, and agreed that it sounded perfectly blissful. Big Blue's day may have started off calm and reposeful, but Dusty the Combine Harvester's entire day had consisted of one big nap. "What did you do all day, Dusty?" Reiki the Plough questioned, upon realizing that Dusty had remained in the barn all day. Dusty replied, "It was quite marvelous, actually. I did my stretches and practiced in preparation for tomorrow. If Farmer Clyde is taking me out in the morning, as he said, then I will have a lot to do and need my full strength for the day's work." Combine harvesters like Dusty had a very important job. It was up to them to harvest the crops and grains. Without a combine harvester to sort through the crops, the farming would take much longer to do, months longer, in fact. Combine harvesters can do 3 tasks at once: reaping, threshing, and winnowing. Reaping is collecting the grains. Threshing loosens the grains from their casing, and winnowing separates the grain from the other plant material that isn't edible, separating the wheat from the chaff. Plus, they can drive speedily through the fields. Dusty covered a lot of ground in one day when he was out harvesting. Thinking about the last time Dusty was out harvesting the field, Rollaway giggled at a memory. "Do you remember how the horses watched you all day last time you were out?" he recalled. "I wonder if they'll watch you so intently again tomorrow." Dusty smiled sheepishly and replied, "I think the horses are still a little bitter that we took their jobs." June chipped in. "But it's been over 100 years since tractors took over from horses. We are stronger than they are. It makes sense that we would do most of the heavy lifting on the farm." "I know," Big Blue added. "And the horses' only duty is to provide horse riding lessons for the local children and participate in races. That's way more fun." June rolled her eyes. "Those horses have too much pride," she said. The conversation moved on, and next it was June's turn to describe what she had gotten up to on the farm today. Turning to Reiki the Plough, quietly sitting on the edge of their circle, June explained, "We went out together today, didn't we, Reiki? Farmer Clyde needed to sow some seeds for the new crops, so he drove me out into the fields with Reiki connected to my back. I pulled and Reiki ploughed the earth. Then Farmer Clyde scattered the seeds into the deep crevices left behind us. We must have scattered thousands of seeds. We are quite the team, Reiki the plough professed. Reiki tended to remain quiet around the other tractors. With the other machines standing so tall above her, she sometimes felt a little inferior in comparison to them. She wasn't strong like them, and she couldn't move of her own accord. She had to be dragged. But if it weren't for Reiki and her ploughing abilities, then nothing would grow properly on the farm. Her long, raked fingers dug furrows in the ground deep enough for seeds to be planted in. She also regularly turned over the soil to bring all the best nutrients to the surface. With her assistance, Farmer Clyde was able to plant crops such as wheat and barley, maize and oats, as well as vegetables like potatoes and onions. Once upon a time, ploughs like Reiki would have been dragged across the fields by horses and cattle. But nowadays, the tractors took that duty. Reiki used to be pulled by Big Blue, but most of the time now, she went out with June, who was younger and faster. Instead, Big Blue got to partake in more relaxing duties, such as pulling trailers and taking sunrise drives with Farmer Clyde. All of a sudden, an unexpected sound broke up the tractor's conversation. Somebody was approaching the barn. The tractors quickly took back up their resting positions in their parking spots in case Farmer Clyde had returned. They listened as soft padding footsteps approached the barn door. They waited as the tall wooden door creaked open slightly and a figure slinked into the barn. As the figure stepped into the ray of moonlight, illuminating the interior of the barn, the tractors all chuckled as they relaxed. Bonnie the collie was the farm's night warden, an expert sheepdog. Every evening, she would patrol the farmyard to make sure that everyone was okay and that everything was in its place while Farmer Clyde slept. The shaggy black and white dog often liked to pay a visit to the machines too. "Good evening, everyone," Bonnie the collie greeted them in her gentle, honey-soft voice. "Good evening, Bonnie," the tractors chimed, rolling back out of their parking spots into the light. "How is your night patrol going, Bonnie?" Reiki the plough asked politely. Bonnie smiled and sat on her bottom obediently as she replied, "It's going very smoothly, thank you. All of the animals are exactly where they are meant to be, and I can barely hear a peep from any of the barns, even the chickens. They must be particularly tired tonight." Bonnie asked how their days had been. She often spotted the tractors out and about around the farm. Everybody worked equally hard to ensure that the farm's operations ran smoothly. Big Blue answered, "Actually, we have all been talking about the fun things we've done today. I saw a beautiful sunrise, and June and Reiki sowed seeds for the next batch of crops. Meanwhile, Dusty had a delightful day off, although he will be back to work again tomorrow. Have you done anything enjoyable today, Bonnie? I'm sure you have plenty of great adventures on the farm with all the animals. Bonnie grinned and replied that she had indeed had a fun day on the farm. In fact, while she had been rounding up the sheep into the neighbouring field, she had encountered quite a predicament. It had started as a normal day for Bonnie. She had woken up to a yummy breakfast before heading out with Farmer Clyde for her morning rounds. Everything was running smoothly, and Bonnie had thought it would be an easy day. However, when it came time to round up the sheep and move them into the other field, things took an unexpected turn. As she counted up the flock, she noticed that one sheep was missing. Bonnie ensured that the other sheep was safely beyond the wall in the next field before closing the gate behind her. Then she set out on a journey to track down the missing member of the flock. She had run over the hills for miles and miles, calling out for the missing sheep. She ran so far that she ended up in one of the cow fields. Bonnie didn't spend much time with the cows on a regular basis, at least not as much as she did with the sheep. But the cows were friendly nonetheless. She carefully approached them, knowing that some calves had recently been born into their field, so they would feel extra protective of their youngest members. She approached a cow she knew well, named Peggy, and asked her if she had happened to see a lone sheep potter by recently. Peggy the cow had giggled and pointed Bonnie in the direction of their sleeping calves, huddled up together under a nearby tree, snoozing away in the shade beneath the midday sun. When Bonnie crept close to the sleeping calves, she made an adorable discovery. Right in the middle of the huddled up calves was a lone ewe, that's a female sheep, curled up with them all, keeping the sleeping babes cozy with her warm, fuzzy wool. Bonnie had been reluctant to disturb the babysitter sheep when she looked so comfortable, but she did need to get her back to the rest of her flock. The ewe couldn't stay here forever. Bonnie beckoned the sheep to follow her out of the middle of the sleeping calves and back to the rest of her flock, far away in the neighbouring field. With the ewe's departure, the calves instinctively snuggled up closer together and sighed with contentment as they settled back into their sweet dreams. The flock of sheep were delighted to be reunited with their missing member, and the runaway ewe entertained them all with her tale of sleeping calves who needed a little extra comfort from some sheep's wool. The tractors listened to Bonnie's charming story and smiled affectionately as she relayed the tale. It was certainly a wonderfully sweet thing to have experienced in her day. Bonnie's story reminded Rollaway, the yellow tractor, that he too had witnessed something pretty adorable today. He had almost forgotten about it. "Speaking of sweet little animals," he began, "I also saw something positively darling today." Today, Rollaway had the important duty of transporting bales of hay around the farmyard. The weather could sometimes grow cool, especially at night, and it was important to keep all the animals toasty and warm when the temperatures dropped. So, Rollaway carried the heavy loads of hay through the farmyard and distributed them between the separate barns. Most of the barns were empty in the daytime. However, today, one barn was quite the opposite. As Rollaway placed a hay bale down in the pig barn, he heard a commotion coming from one of the pens. He drove over to inspect what was going on and couldn't believe his eyes. Inside the pig pen, a mother pig had welcomed a brand new litter of tiny piglets into the world. The endearing baby pigs all raced around the pig pen, while their mother watched them with love and admiration. They wibbled and wobbled on their tiny legs as they found their trotters, and they called out in their squeaky voices with excitement. Rollaway couldn't help but stand and watch them for a while, captivated by their cuteness. Bonnie the collie gazed at Rollaway the tractor with her big brown eyes and whispered, "Wow, that sounds amazing. I haven't seen the piglets yet. I'll have to try to see them tomorrow. I'm sure they're all tucked up in their beds right now, enjoying cuddles with their mummy." It seemed that a lot of baby animals had been born on the farm recently. There were the 3 baby calves in the cow herd, the piglets, and Big Blue claimed he had heard word that a new batch of chicks had been born to the chickens. "Oh, I hope there are chicks," June gushed. "They are my favourites." Dusty countered, "Chicks are very cute, but to me, nothing makes my heart happier than seeing the newborn lambs hopping and skipping around the fields in the spring. Nothing quite compares to the magic of the lambing season." The tractors all dreamily reflected on their experiences of witnessing sweet, new life develop on the farm. From the lively animals to the growing crops and happy machinery, Farmer Clyde's farm was a very special place. After some time, Bonnie the collie left the barn to head to her own bed for the evening. Her cosy dog bed waited for her in front of Farmer Clyde's roaring fireplace, and her tired little legs longed for the sweet reprieve the comfy cushion granted her. Saying good-night to the sheepdog, the tractors yawned one by one. Sleepiness had quietly snuck up on them as they had reflected on their day. June yawned. "Oh, I think I might be ready for bed now, too. The sky looks almost midnight black, and I want to have my strength for tomorrow's farmyard activities." The tractors all gazed up at the opening in the barn roof and admired the bright, gleaming moon within the dark night sky. Right on cue, a barn owl floated in through the opening, spreading its wings wide as it gracefully landed on one of the barn's tall wooden beams. It nestled its wings into its sides and settled in to rest. Dusty, the combine harvester, chuckled and whispered, "I think if even the night owls are settling into sleep, we probably should too." Dusty, Rollaway, and June, Big Blue and Rakey the plough all wished each other good night and rolled backwards into their respective parking spots. They snatched one last glance at the moon flowing into their barn overhead and closed their eyes peacefully. Their breathing slowed and their engines cooled. The sleepy tractors drifted off to sleep, listening to the soft, whistling wind drifting through the barn and the gentle coos of the resting owl in the beams above. Now we're floating into a deep and peaceful sleep. Feel how your muscles are relaxing. Your arms are heavy and your legs are too, as they loosen and release any tension remaining from the day. Feel how you let your body fall into the cozy warmth of your bed. Close your eyes. Let your eyelids be heavy. Breathe deeply. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out as you continue to breathe deeply, and as you keep feeling how your body becomes soft and heavy with sleep. Let your mind drift away. That is the wonderful secret about sleep. While your body rests, lying heavily in your bed, your mind is set free, like a bird taking flight from a branch and flying up and up and up into the air. Feel how your mind loosens now, like a balloon that has been untied from a fence, and floats up and across the sky until it reaches up into the clouds. Imagine that you have risen up high above the world and your head has poked up through the clouds. Then spread out all around you in the silvery moonlight, white fluffy clouds that look like cotton wool or marshmallows. They look so soft and squishy you can lie back on them and roll around in them. Try it now. Lie back in the soft cradle of the clouds. Feel how they swirl and wrap around your body, holding you gently in the world of sleep. Clouds come in all shapes and sizes. Some are big and fluffy, some are slender wisps. Some look like puffy mushrooms, and others look like paintbrush strokes that have been left on the dark sky. Let your body relax. Let your mind relax too. Let your mind float off into sleep. You are peaceful. You are safe. You are being held in the cozy warmth of sleep. With your eyes closed, let your mind drift up, up, up and away. In the world of dreams, you can go anywhere you like. You can float on blue oceans with ripples and tufts of waves. Or you can visit castles built in the sky with spiraling turrets and drawbridges over sparkling moats. Or you can wander into the peaceful woods where the birds are twittering and the trees are dense with dark green leaves. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out again as you fall more deeply into your cozy sleep. And with your eyes still closed, take a look around with your mind at where your dreams have taken you. When I fall asleep, I dream that I've gone to a world high up in the clouds. Sometimes the clouds are dappled silver from the moonlight. Sometimes they're soft pink and gold, reflecting the light of the twinkling stars. What form do your dreams take? Where does your mind go when you fall asleep? Maybe in your dreams there are flocks of white fluffy sheep huddling together on the green fields. Look at the mother ewe yawn widely before she tucks her little lambs beneath her woolly fleece. Or maybe you dream of a friendly dragon, curled up with his tail wrapped around him, a little trail of clouds puffing out of his nostrils. Look, the cloud dragon is smiling at us and waving. What a friendly dragon he is. Or maybe you dream of cute puppies lying on their backs, their tongues lolling out of their mouths, their eyes closing because they've had such a long day. They look tired, And there's their papa dog, fluffy and white, padding softly over to wish the puppies good night. Up here on the sea of clouds, you can be free. Feel how light you are, weightless, floating, drifting through sleep. Feel everything heavy from the day lift off you and drift away, taken away by currents until they disappear over the bank of clouds. Any worries you have been having, watch them float away. Anything that has been weighing on your mind during the daytime, now you can let them go and watch them drift away. Your worries are not you. You are not your worries. You can let them go. Watch them float away. Now you are light as air. You are as gentle as starlight. You are as soft as the clouds. Up in the sleepy sky, everything is weightless and peaceful. The clouds stretch out like a sea of tranquility. Close your eyes and feel the clouds wrap around you. Feel them bearing your body gently into the land of sleep. Feel your eyes close. Feel them rest heavily as your body relaxes into sleep. Feel your mind lighten. Feel it loosen and drift away, light as a feather, soft as the clouds. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. The world of clouds is waiting for you. Let yourself fall into the clouds' soft, warm hug. They are here to protect you. They are here to cushion you. They are here to hold you as you enjoy your deep and peaceful sleep. Sleep well, little one. Sleep well in the land of clouds. Feel how light you are. Feel how weightless, floating, drifting through sleep, light as air, gentle as starlight, soft as clouds. Good night, little one. Sleep